All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Making the Most of the National SBIR STTR Conference in Austin. We have with us to introduce the Small Business Development Center, Joe Harper. Joe?
Thank you, Hall. My name is Joe Harper, Director of the Texas State SBDC, serving Austin and 12 Central Texas counties. We're associated with America's Small Business Development Centers, representing 64 lead centers and more than 1,100 field centers in every state and U.S. territory. Our national funding partner is the U.S. Small Business Administration, and our local partner is the state of Texas, providing matching funds focused on providing technical assistance using mentorship, education, and collaboration to address the needs of small business. We see the next generation of entrepreneurs as shifting from addressing problems through function to solving problems through innovation. The SBDC's role with this innovator is to navigate them through the challenges along the pathway from ideation to commercialization using guidance, strategies, and resources. SBIR STTR are critical resources in positioning innovation on a path to sustainable funding and eventual commercialization. Today's presentation and the upcoming SBIR STTR conference are the necessary beginning steps towards your engagement, participation, and ultimate success of your innovation in the marketplace. Thank you for participating. Sit back, take it all in, begin your journey today. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Joe. So we'd like to introduce our main speaker today, Alan Baker. Alan Baker has 25 years of experience in the innovation policy and program realm for small business innovation research grants, and is going to lead us through a presentation today to talk about how to get the most out of the upcoming conference. Before he starts, I want to point out that there's a question box in the right-hand side where you can enter questions. So after Alan presents the information, we'll take your questions, and by typing them in as they come to you, we'll read them out and answer them at the end of this session. So with that, Alan, let's go ahead and kick into our presentation.
Thank you, Hall, and welcome everybody. I never thought I'd be in a position of competing with Halloween, but here I am, and so what I did is to try to load up this presentation with as many goodies as possible. So we're going to have a sort of a little literal Halloween or a virtual Halloween right here. So if you listened to the previous webinar, you heard my basic sales pitch with respect to the Small Business Innovation Research Program and then its sister program, Small Business Technology Transfer. And that is basically, this is a goldmine for entrepreneurs. I mean, I've been there myself as an entrepreneur, and I've seen thousands, literally thousands of small businesses across the country take advantage of this $2.3 billion program. This is non-diluted funding. There's no equity stake that's taken from this. These are grant funds. They align very nicely with angel money or with VC money that you all might be raising, and even with the commercially available funds through institutional resources such as banks or other small business administration funding sources. We make thousands of awards annually. I'm with the Navy SBIR program. We make well over 1,000 awards alone, just our program, out of the 11-odd agencies, major agencies in the federal government. There are years we make as many as 12,000, 14,000 awards. The Phase 2 awards are quite sizable. They're up to $1.5 million per Phase 2 award, and you can win as many as 2 Phase 2 awards for a total of up to $3 million. So this is really substantive funding that entrepreneurs need. I think the best part of this is that the contrary to the expectation that it's the same old companies that win again and again, year in and year out. In fact, it's just the opposite. Year in and year out, about 30% of the awardees for both Phase 1 and Phase 2 are companies that are brand new to SBIR and STTR, recently founded companies, quite often by young entrepreneurs, people in their men and women in their 20s and in their 30s. And one of the features of the program, which I'll touch on later, is the extraordinary degree of commercialization assistance that's available to you to help you deliver your innovation into the hands of customers. Let's go skip through the next slide to the one that follows that. So what we've done, and here we are sitting in Washington, D.C., and in the past, and I've been with this program better part of 15 years, and we went through many, many, many years where the Small Business Innovation Research Program, despite its uniqueness, it was pretty hard to find. Unfortunately, what you had to do is to come to us in Washington, D.C., because we didn't have much of a habit of going out to find you in, Wichita or Bangor, Maine, or Myers, Florida, or Southern California, or wherever you might happen to be. The last couple of years, we've tried to turn that around, and we've pulled off some very interesting conferences in which we've learned to try to make our resources available. So this conference, the one that's coming up in Austin in early November, is loaded with all kinds of resources. And my strong suggestion is that you need a plan, that you develop a participation plan for the conference. And I'm suggesting 4 points in this overall strategies. First, to focus on finding those federal agencies that are most interested in your technology expertise, in your kinds of professional expertise as a scientist or engineer, and more particularly in the kind of technology that you're focused on. Every single agency in the federal government that has an SBIR program, and all of the sub-agencies, total of more than 20 overall, every single one of them is going to be there at the Austin conference. The key decision makers are going to be there. They will be bringing their staffs with them. So the key for you is to figure out which of those agencies are the right agencies for you to talk to that are most nearly aligned with your expertise. Second, once you find the right agencies, then you're going to want to figure out how to most effectively and quickly find the topics that those agencies put out in the form of solicitations, where we as agencies ask for your best ideas about how to solve the problems that we specify in those topics. And third, my suggestion always is that you bring your business cards with you, and the best kind of business card that you can bring is a quad chart. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about a quad chart and how you can readily develop quad charts to bring with you to the conference to hand over to agency reps so that you can quickly and effectively dialogue with them about a path forward. And last, you want to make sure to sign up before you get to the conference for one-on-one meetings with those agencies with which you're most closely aligned. Let's go to the next slide, Hall. Okay, so the first thing to do is to identify the right agencies. And Hall, I'm going to ask you for a little help here when we get down to go down to the watch bullet down there. So there's a series of steps in identifying the right agencies. If you've registered for the conference already, you've already been to our website, which is www.nationalsbirconference.com. If you've been to that website and you look in the upper right-hand corner in one of the banners there, you'll see in a drop-down menu, you'll see this icon, how to participate. And so you open that up, and it'll give you a series of agency profiles. These agency profiles are one page, we call them posters, that are apples to apples. Every one of the agencies is described according to the same set of indicators and metrics. How big the program is in terms of dollars, roughly how many awards they make, how often they provide solicitations where they ask for your solutions to the topics that they propose, and other key pieces of information. So those one-page posters that's kind of an early stopping point for you. My suggestion is you make mental notes as you go through those one-page posters. And when you've got 2 or 3 or 4 agencies that seem like they make sense, that seem as if they're resonant to your area of interest, then you want to go and take the next step, and that is to go to the how-to videos. Hall, are you able to click on how-to videos and bring that up as a website? And if not, I'll talk people through it.
You better talk people through it. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Good. So that if you were able to click on how-to videos, and I reference it, by the way, again at the end of this thing, I'll give you the actual website, so you can just click on that link, and that'll take you right there. But this is housed, at least temporarily, on the Department of the Navy's SBIR website. Pretty soon it's going to go global, and probably it'll be on the SBA website. But right now it's hosted on Navy SBIR. And what we've done is to post about 30 to 35 videos that give you a boatload of information about the SBIR and the STTR programs. And among those videos, and they're very clearly described, you'll see a series of videos on each one of the 11 principal agencies and on the 15 sub-agencies for the total of, say, roughly 26 agencies and sub-agencies. Each one of those videos is pretty meaty. They average about probably 9-10 minutes apiece. And you'll probably see the program managers in every case. In a couple of the videos, I think, we were not able to get the program managers, but these videos are content-rich, and they'll give you more information than you can find in any other location. And in just a matter of minutes, you're going to be able to determine whether these agencies are, in fact, the right agencies for you to jump into a closer relationship with. So the last item there is make sure, once you're confident that you know who's going to be most interested, whether it's the National Institutes of Health, the Department of Energy, the Department of Education, Department of the Navy, whoever it is, make sure that you take advantage of scheduling one-on-one meetings. Now, what we've done so far is to make 3 one-on-one meetings available to everybody that registers. I think in about a week, well, actually, let's go less than that. Probably not later than next Tuesday, we're going to send out an email to everybody in which we'll announce that if you've already registered and you've already scheduled 3 meetings, we're going to give you an option to schedule an additional 2 one-on-one meetings. They're there. And that's where the rubber really meets the road in this conference, is the one-on-ones. Don't miss this opportunity to have these one-on-one meetings. Next slide, Hal. Okay, so I talked before about topics, and let's take a look, and let me show you what topics actually look like. Can you click on that link that's there, Hal?
Let's see.
Oh, look at that. It's beginning to do something. Yep. Uh-oh, maybe not. May have to go back. Look at that. There we have it, National Science Foundation. This comes from a fairly recent solicitation, and this is kind of standard what a solicitation looks like. And you'll see that in this solicitation, the National Science Foundation is telling you that they have an overall interest in advanced manufacturing and nanotechnology. And then more specifically, as you drill down into that, you can see they have an interest in advanced manufacturing specifically. And then drilling down even further, you'll see a series of, and these are the actual topics. You'll see them designated by M numbers, so M1, M2, M3, and so on. And so if you read, well, let's just read let's read maker manufacturing. Makers represent a wellspring of innovation, creating new products and eventually manufacturing them. Proposals having roots in such activities involving innovations in one or more stages of design, engineering, and manufacturing, and having significant commercialization potential are solicited. See, that's a sentence right there. That tells you exactly what they're looking for. And then they amplify it. Commercially sustainable ideas that seek to address significant local, national, or global societal problems, it gives you some examples, or enable the spreading of citizen science through such innovations are especially encouraged. So go for that last sentence. The sentence before that tells you that's the topic that they're interested in your ideas about, and then specifically within that universe, they tell you what they're really interested in, what their what their special focus is. This is a great example of one kind of a topic. Let's go back out and see if we can come back in the main presentation. Now, all right, let's skip to the next slide. Now, that's the National Science Foundation. As you see, that topic was fairly general. If you take a look comparatively at a Department of the Navy topic, the Department of the Navy topic is going to be much more specific, where our acquisition programs, which those are the entities that actually write our topics, they'll have a much more specific need, and it will be targeted to a component or a system within one of the platforms we're building, an aircraft carrier, a jet fighter, a helicopter, or it could be, some major piece of electrical machinery in an electrical grid. So our topics are going to be much more specific. So there's a wide range of those. Now, the question is, how do you drill down most effectively? Because solicitations are big. When solicitations come out from the individual agencies and from the sub-agencies, they could have as few as, say, 10 or 15 topics per agency, or they could have as many as 100 or more, or 150. So, you might be faced with a situation that's kind of daunting there, where the solicitation that will open up for multiple agencies will have hundreds and hundreds of topics. Now, if you want to cut to the chase, let me recommend an informal source that is really, really useful. And so we're in that slide right now about number 2, finding topics that match expertise. So Rick Schindel, who owns a company called Zyn Systems, Z-Y-N, has developed a wonderful website. If you go to Zyn.com, and in the upper left-hand corner, when you open up, when you click on Zyn.com, you'll see a logo that says SBIR Gateway. And that gateway is loaded with other kinds of links that will benefit you. In this case, we're interested in what he's done for you, a little search engine that he's built into his website that will help you find topics. And so if you look on the right-hand side of that page that's up there right now, the banner is titled Search Services, and the section immediately below that is titled Open SBIR STTR Solicitation Topics. And if you click in there, I'm sorry, if you look right directly above that, you'll see a little Google-type search box that says SBIR Open Topic Search. That's where you want to enter 3 or 4 keywords that resonate with the technology that you are best at, your special area of expertise. And then you enter that and then click on Go. And as I've said right there in the words in italics, search for keywords to describe your tech expertise, such as, in this case, additive manufacturing. So I went ahead and did that. I executed the search for additive manufacturing, and next slide. This is what comes up on Zyn.com. And so you see now if you read right below the banner that says example additive manufacturing, this is what comes up: National SBIR STTR Gateway Search Service results by Zyn Search for additive manufacturing found 25 matches. So within what did that take? Maybe 2 seconds. Zyn.com found 25 topics that were available in that solicitation in the area of additive manufacturing. And because of the slide size, I was just limited, and I only pulled up 2 that you see in there now. One is from the Air Force, and the other one is for the Navy. Now, actually, if you'd gone down and scrolled further and you could see all 25, you'd have seen that 6 different agencies and sub-agencies had topics in additive manufacturing. And so then you want to go back out, you read the topics carefully, and then go back to the basic research that you've already done. Make sure that you're choosing those agencies which look like overall they're going to be the best match for you, and drill down into topics from those agencies, and if you happen to be interested in additive manufacturing, such as 3D printing or deposition of materials, whatever it happens to be relative to that. And bingo, you have just solved this problem that I just posed. How am I going to wade through hundreds and hundreds of topics? You use this search engine on Zyn.com, and in a matter of seconds, you're going to be looking at those topics that make best sense for you. Next, let's go to the next slide, Hall. Okay, so quad charts are standard flows or information sources in the Department of Defense. We've used them for years and years. They're single pieces of paper, 8.5 by 11, designed to tell you pretty much everything you'd want to know about a particular technology that's in the process of development. So a good quad chart is indispensable. What we say is that it's the equivalent of a business card. It's a heck of a lot clearer than any 2-minute stand-up pitch that you can give, and I'm sure that there's a number of entrepreneurs on the phone that are used to giving stand-up pitches, and you know what happens. When you're good, but when you're not good, whoops, forgot to mention 2 or 3 key things. I got my words confused, my tongue got tangled, That never happens with a quad chart. The quad chart is much clearer than a 2-minute stand-up pitch. It's a heck of a lot shorter than a business plan. But interestingly enough, it conveys a lot of the information that you find in a business plan. The beauty of it is it's on one page. And so the person that's reading the quad chart doesn't have to wade through 200 pages of a business plan to find the information that they're looking for. So it's readily understandable by a potentially customer or an investor or a funder. Not only that, you own the quad chart, so you can update it anytime you want to, so the information is always current. I don't know if you've ever had the painful experience of having to update a 300-page business plan that you've put time, energy, and money into, and then had to update the financial spreadsheets, for example, in it. Well, with a quad chart, it's real simple. So there's two types of quad charts that I'm going to show you. One of them is for advanced research, advanced R&D work, and the other one is for much more basic R&D. Now, what I've given you here in both cases is if you're able to download this, the presentation here, these are actual PowerPoint templates. And what I suggest is that if you download these things, see if you can download them in PowerPoint. And what you will then do is you'll just simply erase the information that I've typed in on whichever template you choose to use, and just begin to use that template to develop your own quad chart. It can't be, I mean, it's very simple. So let's go ahead, Paul, let's take a look at the first one right here. So this quad chart is typical of one that you'd find in the Department of Defense. It's broken into the 4 quadrants. We like to use a picture in the upper left-hand quad, and the picture needs to do a couple of things. It needs to actually graphically represent what the technology looks like in action, and moreover, you need to do it in such a way that you convey a sense of scale. So is this piece of technology the size of 3 refrigerators, or is it the size of a package of Altoids? Is it a laptop? Is it software? What is it? I mean, the picture is invaluable. It's always worth 1,000 words, but you're going to put in some additional language to boot. So directly below that, that was the upper left quad. The lower left quad here is a short statement explaining the technology and its principal features. So this is what you've provided and how that solution works. The top right quad, on the other hand, is what the customer is interested in, to the extent that you know the customer or the emerging industry that's had it. And if you can, best of all possible worlds, and it's certainly true within the Department of Defense, you're going to want to find the requirement set that a customer has that they've specified. One of the beauties of the quad chart, it gives you an opportunity to show that, yes, you understand what the customers need, and that's on one hand, and secondly, you're able to show how your solution aligns with their specific requirements and what they need. The bottom right-hand quad is, you'll see it's titled Transitions there, and that describes how you're going to get there. How are you going to develop over time? How are you going to develop the solution that you've described in the lower left-hand quad? And best of all possible worlds, you'd be able to put in a series of steps in that little lower right-hand quad where you'd show how you're going to graduate or mature your technology from one transition readiness level up to the next one, and where the money's going to come from, how much that's going to cost. Sometimes that's the most important part of a quad chart, is that transition slide, because it gives a customer a sense of confidence that you know what you're doing and you know how you're going to get there. That banner down at the bottom, the contacts banner, it's pretty obvious what that is. That's everything that the prospective customer needs to know about who you are and how to reach you. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next quad, Hall, which is for a much more basic kind of approach. What I've done here is to borrow a wonderful quad chart that was developed by our good friend Susan Nichols, who's the program manager of DARPA's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Susan Nichols and her staff will be down there in Austin, and she will be delighted, I can tell you right now, if you put together a quad chart, and she's the right person for you to talk to, and she sees that you've used her template. to take a look at 4 things, starting in the upper left. What's the state of the art, and what are its limitations? And that describes the area in which you have innovated, in which you have invented. So, but first of all, it's what is the state of the art? What is current right now? And then lower left, what are the key new insights? And this could be new ground that you've broken, or it could be something another scientist or an engineer has done. But it's somebody has brought something new and revolutionary to the dance, and what is that? And then, and more particularly, and how have you packaged it and refined it? What are you proposing, to do to go forward? And then in the top right-hand section of this quad, you're going to describe the impact of the project. And the impact, by the way, now this is not qualitative, this is quantitative. So here you want to be able to describe what that project does by way of results. So, it improves the efficiency of a particular kind of a mechanical operation by 40%, or, you decreased the weight of a system by 17% as a result of the use of this new material that you've invented, something like that. But you want to be able to describe the impact of the project in a quantitative sense. And then finally, bottom right, what are the end of phase goals? How do I know? That's sort of how do you know when you've got there? What does that deliverable look like when that project has been fully evolved and fully developed? The box in the middle, you're going to talk about what the major achievements are that you hope will come out of the project that you're proposing. How it works. How it's going to happen. That's focused on the way in which that piece of technology, whether it's hardware or software, is going to work, and then the assumptions and the limitations of it. So that the banner across the bottom, once again, is just simple contact information about who you are. But this is a very innovative way of describing in a quad chart format where a piece of basic research is headed in response to a topic that could come out of an agency like DARPA, or other agencies produce topics like this that are very basic in nature, like the National Institutes of Health. Their topics, as you will see if you begin to go into their website, give you an awful lot of leeway. And so the question is, how do you begin to kind of hone that down if you're going to talk to a National Institute of Health customer? So not only will DARPA be at the conference in force, the National Institute of Health will be there in force. So you'll be able to talk to people from the main SBIR office, but also there will be a number of the institutes from the National Institutes of Health. That's why it's called the National Institutes. There's about 15 different institutes and other offices that are built into NIH, and a number of them will be there in Austin as well. And so likewise, if you're going to be talking to them, best of all possible worlds, you've got a quad chart so that you can lay that quad chart right in front of somebody in a one-on-one meeting, and within a matter of a minute or so, that person has got a very clear idea of who you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Now, the next question that you're going to ask that person once they've understood what you've done is, what do you think? Who can I go to? Who do I need to talk to next in your agency or sub-agency? And chances are, if you've done a good job with your quad charts, they'll be able to answer that question. Okay, let's go ahead into the next slide. So if you've, again, if you've registered, you already know all this, but I'm going to go over it again just in case that you haven't completed all these steps. So you'll register for the conference at the main website, and you should receive almost immediately a return email from us. And that return email is going to invite you to request up to 3 meetings. And there are choices that will be described there. For the most part, The choices are going to be federal agencies and sub-agencies and institutes and offices within these federal agencies and sub-agencies. But there are also some other players who are there, and these are essentially big industry players. They will be described, and you'll be able to take a look, and it may be that you want to meet with one or more of them as well. So that return email will invite you to request up to 3 meetings from either government or industry folks, and it'll ask you to review the agency and industry posters. Those are the same ones that I described a few minutes ago. So you make the most practical choices for your meetings. And as I said, just to go over it back again, it's not enough just to take a look at those little one-page posters. You really need to go into the how-to videos so you get a better understanding of exactly what those agencies do. And so then the return email, lastly, it suggests that you develop a quad chart, and it'll give you an example of a quad chart. It's not unlike the 2 that I gave you. The difference is that what I just gave you in this presentation, these are actual templates that you can use if you take them in PowerPoint, and you can fill in the blanks yourself. The one that you'll get in the return email is static, and there's nothing you can do to manipulate it. So after you have read that email and then done your homework, you're going to choose the industry or the agency or the industry meetings that make best sense for you, and you will submit your request. You'll get a confirmation back of the meeting schedule, and then, as I say, and I don't have it on this particular chart right here, it looks as if next week we very well may be opening the meetings up and allowing you to make an additional 2 choices of one-on-one meetings. I can't confirm that yet, but we'll know by Monday exactly what the situation is. So at the conference itself, make sure you know the location of your one-on-one meetings. Now, I think there's probably a number of people in this webinar who are familiar with the AT&T Conference Center. It's a compact location. Nonetheless, it is possible to get lost in there. And when you come to the actual AT&T Center itself on the first day of the conference, and you pick up your registration badge, there'll be a piece of hard copy. There'll be there a nice little booklet that describes in detail what's going to happen at the conference. And that booklet will have in the back pages of it, you'll see a series of maps that tell you floor by floor which rooms are on which floors and exactly where they are. And make sure that you know where the one-on-one meetings are located so that you're going to be able to go there and go there punctually. You've only got 15 minutes, and we crank these meetings out. I mean, especially on the military side, nothing is late. Everything happens on time, so make sure that you're punctual with this as well. Let's go to the next slide. So one more time, in case you didn't participate in the webinar that we held a little bit earlier this week. Why SBIR and STTR? Let's just take a look at the small business incentives that are on the right-hand side of this slide. This is the largest source of early-stage R&D funds. Actually, it's the largest source in the world of early-stage money for small firms that is non-dilutive, that doesn't require a payback, and doesn't take an equity stake. Moreover, the beauty of SBIR and STTR funding is that the company that wins the award, the SBIR and STTR awardee, retains the data rights for 4 or 5 years, a little different from between agencies, but if it's within the Department of Defense, it's a minimum of 5 years. And moreover, if you remember a minute ago, I told you about additional Phase 2s that you could win, or Phase 3 awards, which are non-SBIR funds that can be made to an SBIR project. And so if you receive a second Phase 2 award, or if you receive a Phase 3 award, that restarts the clock on the duration of your data rights. And so the data rights controlled by you as the awardee can extend for even longer than that 5-year period. Winning an award, since it's a highly competitive program, so winning an award definitely builds credibility for your company's research, and then again, there is this possibility, the strong possibility, of follow-on awards to accelerate the maturation of the technology that you developed. Let's go on to the next slide. So I want to wrap this up with these desk references. This is the same set of desk references I provided earlier in the week when we did the first version of this webinar. So as you see, my good friend Rick Schindel right there is in the top position with Zinn.com, provides direct links to every federal agency program, to other commercialization resources, and to any kind of news that you might be interested in. And you'll see when you cruise through that website, Rick has built a number of search engines into that website that make your use of it extremely user-friendly and extremely fast. The next reference that I have down there, I've mentioned before, these are the how-to videos that we have. This is a SBIR University concept that a number of federal agencies are sharing and beginning to explore. We're beginning to work together much more closely. The how-to videos that we've put up there are a collegial effort. They just, as I say, happen to be on our side right now. But if we wanted to, and if we had the time, we could just click on that link right there and bring it up. And I may ask you to do that in a second. Let's just see. But the next one is another example. This is the National Science Foundation's site that provides a series of. Well, this is their YouTube channel that provides a series of webinars on different aspects of applying successfully for NSF awards in the SBIR and STTR program. The last reference that I have up there, if you're a growing small business and you're interested in honing your management skills and you're interested in SBIR and STTR policy, perhaps you're interested in working more closely with local governments and state governments on SBIR and STTR policy, you might want to consider taking a look at organizations such as SBTC, which is the Small Business Technology Council. And SBTC.org is a great website that is pretty jam-packed with information of all kinds about the SBIR program, but again, it's from a policy perspective for the most part. So if we have just a second, let's go back up, if we can, Hall, and click on how-to videos and see if we can bring that up so you guys can see. This is a very densely packed, bingo, there we have it. So in spring of 2014, we held a national SBIR conference up in Washington, D.C., and we videotaped and then recorded a large number of presentations that were there. And you'll see we don't need to scroll down for this thing, but you can begin to see just an example of what kinds of things are available. This is a great website to use for those of you that are in remote geographical areas where you may not have access to an SBDC or to some other agency or some other office that can help you get your foot in the door with respect to SBIR. So the goal of the how-to videos and of the whole SBIR University concept is to reach out to those who are underrepresented in geographical areas or because they're socially or economically disadvantaged, and can show you how you can get up close and friendly with the SBIR program. And I think, let's see, let's just go to the next slide. Yeah, great, okay. So I know for sure I'm going to be in Austin, Texas from November 11th to the 13th at the National SBIR Conference. And look for me there. You won't be able to miss me. I'm a tall guy. I'm an Indian with a ponytail. And I definitely want to see as many small business people as possible. And I'll be more than happy to sit down and spend a little time with you and talk SBIR business and innovation. Thanks very much, Hall.
Well, thank you, Alan. We had a number of questions come in while you were talking. And for those who may have come in late, there's a question box on the right-hand side. Feel free to type in your questions, and we'll pose them to Alan here in the time we have remaining. The first question that came in, which we can answer, is will we make the slides available? And yes, anybody that registered for today's webinar will automatically send you a copy of the slides, so you will have those available. But for you, Alan, the first question is the one-on-one limited to three per participant or 3 per company?
It's 3 per participant. So, the registration, you didn't, when you registered, you didn't register as a company. You registered as an individual. And so, you as an individual have 3 meetings that you can have, 3 one-on-ones that you can schedule. And my suggestion, now, if whoever asked this question, if your company's relatively new, and if you guys are in the process of getting your feet wet in the SBIR community, and you want to shop around a little bit to make sure that you've got the right agencies that you want to work with, then do a little bit of division of labor. If there's 2 of you, make sure that you don't overlap and that you're actually choosing different agencies for the one-on-ones. That way you get the biggest bang for your buck in attendance.
So the next question is how often are the SBIR topics updated on Zen?
Zen.com is I want to say it's as close to continuously accurate as it possibly can be. There are other sources that allow you to get to the topics. The preferred government site is the Small Business Administration site, which is SBIR.gov, www.sbir.gov, and you'll always be able to find the information about topics there. In addition to that, NIH has its own site, NSF has it. This is NIH, National Institutes of Health. The National Science Foundation has its site. Most of the agencies do, and especially DOD. There's a central DOD website, which is www.dodsbir.net, and that will allow you to see all of the different agency and sub-agency solicitations that are out there. Zen.com is probably the most continuously accurate and updated of all of the central sites where you can look at pretty much everything.
Okay. Next question is, where do I get more quad chart examples before the conference?
Boy, that's a good question. I've given you 2. There's lots of different kinds of templates. Sometimes you'll find, the picture in the upper right-hand quadrant, and things kind of get moved around a little bit. What I encourage you to do is to use the basic layout in either one of the 2 templates that are there, and feel free to invent if you want to. People do that regularly. You can, if you're going to make it up on your own, you can either do it in PowerPoint or you can do it in Word. Sometimes it's a little easier to use Word to construct these things. But I would suggest, let's see, I know that there are a number of companies, a small number of companies, that provide commercialization assistance. Now, generally, this is provided only to SBIR awardees that are already in existing programs. And those companies, a good example is Dawnbreaker, which some of you may have heard of. So, Dawnbreaker has a template, or rather has a tool that's available on their website for developing quad charts. And frankly, I don't know whether that is available to anybody coming in from the outside, but Google them, www.dawnbreaker.com, and see if you can find a quad chart tool, a development tool on their website. Or you can do some research that way by simply Googling quad chart development tool and see what pops up. I encourage you to try to keep your quad charts as simple and straightforward as possible. There are some wild examples of quad chart templates that are out there, and it's the Department of Defense that can drive us crazy. We want stuff that's simple, graphic, crystal clear, and easily readable.
The next question is, what is your suggestion if the topic an agency offers is related to our interests or expertise, but the current solicited subtopics does not match our expertise?
Keep on looking. The best advice that I could give you, if you're looking for a resonant topic, make sure that what you propose specifically and explicitly addresses what the agency says it's looking for in the topic. So I gave you the National Science Foundation topic sequence, for a reason, because in National Science Foundation topics you read them superficially, and they seem to be very general. It looks like they give you an awful lot of leeway. Well, they do, but at the same time, you can read between the lines, and there's some fairly specific guidance in there about what they're looking for. So you pay attention to that, and conversely, do not ignore that. The last thing that you want to do as an entrepreneur is to spend a fair amount of time on developing a Phase 1 proposal or a Phase 2 proposal, only to have it turned down. And so, best of all possible worlds, you're going to respond fairly accurately to topics, and keep on looking. If you don't see something that explicitly addresses what your area of expertise is, keep on looking. And remember, the solicitations come out 4 times a year, so you're going to get lots of bites at the apple.
The next question is, there are several representatives from certain agencies, for example, the Army. Is there a specific technology interest for the Army 1 rep versus the Army 4 rep?
Yes and no. I mean, in terms of the yes part of that, the individuals who are going to be attending from the Army have different backgrounds, different operational backgrounds, different backgrounds as engineers in terms of the application of their expertise. But it's irrelevant in that they're not there as technologists who have a particular kind of technology expertise. They're there because they work in the SBIR program office. So they are traffic cops, in effect. Their purpose is to direct you more specifically to a prospective Army customer or to a prospective Army practice or a specific topic or set of topics that would interest you. So don't be concerned about trying to find the exact right person in an agency that has more than one person that's there for one-on-ones, so that they're all going to be competent and they're all going to be capable, and not only that, they're all going to be co-located. So don't be surprised if you sit down and you find yourself talking to Joe, and you put your quad chart in front of Joe, and Joe says, "Hey, you know what? This isn't my area." Mary, who will be the Army person sitting right next to him, Mary, "Hey, this is you. What do you think about this?" And that they work together very effectively in the SBIR conferences. I think we've got a pretty good performance model. Don't worry about the differences.
The next question is there any point in attending if I can't find a topic that matches my innovation, besides general networking?
Oh my, yes, absolutely. The SBIR program is a rich program. It's deep. It's got a long history. This thing's been around for 25 years. I mean, by now, we've got practices that are fairly well elaborated. And the key is that you want to make sure that you optimize your chances for success in the program. And the best way to do that is to learn what kinds of things you can do wrong inadvertently that are going to get your proposal turned down. You want to win. You don't want to. I mean, yes, it's nice to lose, and I've learned a lot about it. Next time I'll go in stronger. But better than that, you're going to win the first time around and the second time around. And how do you win? Well, you win in 2 ways. But first of all, by being the smartest person in the room, and then second, by making sure that in the course of displaying your expertise and its responsiveness to a topic, that you don't inadvertently forget to do something that you needed to do in the course of developing the proposal, or you didn't make some inadvertent mistake in the course of actually submitting the proposal. So if you go to the agenda, you will find that we have sessions that are devoted to exactly these things, strengths and weaknesses. And moreover, one of the things we've done in this particular conference is we've loaded it up with successful small businesses that have been there and done that, and their purpose is not just to try to make presentations that share their expertise with you about their success, but they're going to be there in order to talk to you so that they can share the wealth, so that they can tell you a little bit more specifically. So you should hear from both the government side and from the small business side what works and what doesn't. Now that's invaluable. You're not going to get that information anywhere other than the face-to-face contact at a conference like this, and that's one of the most important things about the conference these are not casual networking opportunities. They're fairly well and carefully structured. So yes, in that sense, even if you can't find a topic, come to the conference and keep in mind, as I just said, there's 4 solicitations a year. If the solicitation that's on the street now or in the coming weeks doesn't have the right stuff for you, very well possibly the next one will.
The next question is, will I be able to follow up with my contact after the conference is over?
Yes, I think in most cases the result of the one-on-one meeting that you're going to have is that you'll walk away from that one-on-one with the name, telephone number, and email of one or more persons that it will be recommended for you to to talk to take your technology a step further. In most cases, in fact, in almost all cases, anybody that you meet in the one-on-one, no matter what the agency is going to have a very good understanding of who's who in their agency, whether it's a small one like the U.S. Department of Agriculture or a great big one like the Air Force or the National Institutes of Health. One of the beauties of working in the SBIR community is you have the privilege of getting to know who the best and brightest are in your agency, and moreover, you have a responsibility to do that in order to better serve the small businesses. So you should walk away with a point of contact. And if, for whatever reason, a one-on-one meeting starts to go south, and you get a sense that you might not walk away with another point of contact, ask. Just simply ask. Who should I talk to next?
All right. From the time I submit my application, how long will it take me to find out if I actually won a grant?
It varies from agency to agency. I'll answer it 2 ways. First of all, it's possible that you'll find out in a fairly short period of time. Could be a couple of months or so. It might be a longer period of time in the case of agencies that put out very large numbers of topics where the proposal review process is protracted, and particularly if that agency is a little bit understaffed. One of the weaknesses of the SBIR program is that Congress, in its wisdom, didn't provide the administrative funding that was necessary in order to support the amount of work that has to be done on the government side. So some of the processes have been slower in the past. Now we are all now with reauthorization, we have additional administrative funds to try to speed up these processes, and we also have direction from Congress to do exactly that, to reduce the amount of time that a company has to wait to find out what the decision is in terms of a proposal that's submitted, and also to make sure that agencies who are already in the award process don't go through time without money.
Great. Our next question is, will agency sponsors be involved in the networking sessions? Will that be a time we can make contact with them if we can't meet them in the one-on-one sessions?
Yes. The rule of thumb, I mean, kind of behind the scenes for all the agencies who are going to be present in August is make sure your folks are there during the networking breaks and are available to field questions and to have discussions. I will also tell you that you don't miss the opportunity at receptions to go and buttonhole those of us who are there and walking around. One of the beauties of the way the conference works is that the agency representatives will have tags and will have identification tags that are color-coded. So you'll very easily begin to figure out who's who and to down select the agency people and know them as distinct from the industry people who are there or the other small business people who are there. But yes, nobody's going to be hiding out.
Well, great. Well, that brings us to the end of the questions and the end of our hour. We want to thank all the participants who spoke today. We thank Joe Harper and the Small Business Development Center for bringing this presentation to you guys. And we want to thank Alan Baker for sharing his expertise as well. We want to thank the audience for coming in and asking good questions and spending time with us today. And we hope to see you all at the conference here in a few weeks.
Let me just make one last point here, and that is if any of you out there on this webinar are veteran-owned businesses, if you're veterans, please come on down to this event. We are trying to work out a deal with the Texas Governor's Office to provide some additional funding to subsidize veteran-owned businesses and other businesses that otherwise might not be able to afford it. So look for the discount codes that are out there and use them. And if you're a veteran-owned business, by all means ask what's in it for you and if there's an opportunity for you to participate for free, not least because you all know what day this conference starts on. That's Veterans Day. It's a very special day to us.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, and we'll close it for now.